Yo, 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 this is Mr. O. Yo, 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 this is Mr. O. And today we're going to learn about slope, intercept form, point slope form, parallel, and perpendicular lines. All right, let's go ahead now. So most linear equations are written in slope intercept form. What is slope intercept form? It's in the form of y is equal to mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. That means y is already isolated. You're right. Y must be isolated. And here, the m stands for not mlope, but it's slope. If you remember, slope could be either rise over run or the formula of change of y divided by change of x by writing it down as y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay? While the b is your y-intercept. Y-intercept is when the graph of the line crosses the y-axis. So let's try this example here. Given the graph, write the equation. So we have to write the equation in slope-intercept form. And for us to do that one, we have to find the slope. So if you have to find the slope, you need at least 2 points to identify the rise over run. Or we can do the formula, the y sub 2 minus sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And we have to find for the y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead now. So number one here, I see a line that's increasing. So I know already that the slope will be positive. You're right. It has to be positive here. So the slope here will be positive. Y is equal to blank x plus b. So my slope first. I'll pick 2 points. There's already 2 points given there. I pick this blue point. And how can I get from here to there? I need to go rise, means going to go up first. I'm going to go up by 1, 2, 3, 4. I go up by 4. And then right 2, 1, 2. Since they go up 4, it's positive. We go right 2 is positive. What's 4 over 2? 4 over 2 is 2. That's why my slope there is 2. X plus, what's the y-intercept? Does the graph cross the y-axis here? Yes. What is that number? That is at negative 3. So this will be 2x plus minus negative 3. Since it's minus, I can just simply erase this plus and make it minus because positive times negative is negative. So that's my equation. Again, let's review. You can tell that the slope is 2 here because from this point to that point, you went up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you go right to 1, 2. 4 divided by 2, rise there is 4. And run there is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's why you have a slope of 2 here. And the y-intercept, the b, we got it for where the graph intersect the y-axis, which is at this blue point. It so happened to be negative 3. That's why you put negative 3 there. Okay? Next, y is equal to blank x plus blank. Again, let's find for the slope. Starting here, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. I get up 4. Then I go left. Left is going to be negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be negative 5. Rise over run. This is my rise. This is my run. So the slope will be negative 4 over 5. You can put the negative in the middle, which is ideal. You can put the negative on top. You can put the negative on the bottom. It doesn't matter. You cannot put them both for the 4 and the 5. The numerator denominator has to be 1 only because negative 4 divided by negative 5 will be a positive. And the slope here is negative because this one here is going down. Okay? And where's my y-intercept? The y-intercept is right here in this blue point. It's also negative 3. Okay, sorry for that. And that's the answer. And then positive times negative, we can write it y equals negative 4 fifth x minus 3. And that's my equation. Okay. All right. Let's move on to number 3. Let's make it quick here. So this is the lower point, and this is the higher point. I'm gonna go up one, it's positive one, go left one, two, three, negative three. So therefore, my equation will be negative one third x. The y-intercept, where does the line cross the y-axis? It's on the origin, so it's plus zero. You can leave it with plus zero, or you can leave it blank and leave this as your answer. Okay, very good, guys. Next. So let's graph this one here. How do we graph a line y equals 5 fourth x minus 1? First, the y is already isolated. They're all in slope intercept form because the y is by itself already. Number 2, the slope here is 5 fourth. We know this is the slope, and this is the y-intercept. On this case here, my suggestion is always start at the y-intercept. And that's where your b is going to negative 1 of the y-axis, which is right here in this blue point. From the blue point, you're gonna go up 5 because the rise there is 5, and you're gonna run by 4. When you rise, you go up, it's positive. When you positive 4, that means you go right. So from here, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you run for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my point, and you will just simply connect the blue and the red points. Kaboom. But hold on. I would like you to understand that 5 over 4 is same thing as negative 5 over negative 4. Positive value is the same thing when you divide or multiply two negative. The product will be positive, or their quotient. Meaning to say, if these are negative divided by negative, from this point here, you're going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, if I connect the red, the blue, and the blue points, they'll form a straight line. Y equals negative x plus 6. The slope here is negative 1. And you know that the y-intercept is 6. I'll start at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the slope here is negative 1. It's not a fraction, but remember, every number, every integer has a invisible, or every number is divisible, has an invisible denominator, which is 1. That means my rise is negative 1, my run is positive 1 for now. Okay. Starting from the y-intercept, I'm going to go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. Okay. But remember, guys, that a negative 1 over 1 is the same thing as positive 1 divided by negative 1. Because a negative divided by positive is negative 1. A positive divided by negative is still going to be negative 1. So either way, you should still get the right answer as long as you graph it correctly. So when you do a slope, if you can do multiple points to show a perfect line, that will be better. So here, we go down 1, right 1. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. If I use the other one here, will I get the same point? Will I make a straight line still? You should. A rise 1 means you're going to go up 1. A minus 1 here will go left. So it's going to go this way. Unfortunately, I don't have space, but you can tell already that all of them will form a straight line. They're all collinear, if you can say that way. Okay, there you have it. Next, y equals 2x. There's no y-intercept, so you know it crossed the origin. And the slope there is 2 over 1, so you go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Again, if the slope is 2 over 1, it's the same thing as negative 2 over negative 1, because negative divided by negative is positive. That means I'm going to go down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1. And you can tell already that all of them will draw and form a straight line. Kaboom. All right, let's move on now to the special case, horizontal and vertical line. Let's make it simple, okay? Let me read this to you. Vertical line is written in the form of x equals a. where A represents as the line of x-intercept. So for example, if I tell you x equal to 3, where's the 3 on the x? The 3 on the x is right here. This is the origin. That's the origin. So 1, 2, 3. This is the 3 in the x-intercept. So just draw a vertical line. Kaboom. The slope there, again, if you watch the previous video, if you put Mr. O's head here, what I think will happen, it will fall down, it will crack, so it's impossible. It's going to be undefined. Cannot be. If you have a horizontal line, it's written in the form of y is equal to a. If you notice, there's no x here, there's no slope technically, where a represent the line's y-intercept. So on this case here, for example, I put there this point here, the blue point, and that's on the y-axis. And let's say this is the graph, the pink one here. What's the equation of the pink graph there? Y is equal to -2, because that point there is -2 on the y. And the slope here, if you put Mr. O heads here, will it crack? No, but what you see there is 0. So again, if you have a vertical line, the slope is undefined. If the slope is 0, that will be a horizontal. Vertical, undefined, horizontal, 0. There you go. And the way you write the equation is x equal to a number, it will be a vertical line. Y is equal to a number, is going to be a horizontal line. All right, let's move on now. Parallel and perpendicular. What do we know about parallel? What do we know about perpendicular? We all know that parallel lines, they do not intersect. They are in the same plane. They do not intersect. Okay, perpendicular lines, they intersect. Not only they intersect, they also form a 90-degree angle there. Okay, so let's see the difference between the two. A parallel lines will have the same slope but different y-intercept. Okay, for example, same slope. Remember the slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. An equation that might work with a y equals 2x plus 3. We know the slope here is 2. So if I tell you y is equal to 2x minus 1, they are going to be parallel because they have the same slope. Imagine they have the same trajectory, same direction, but one starts at 3, one starts at -1, but they still go the same direction because they have the same slope. Then they go to be parallel. They will not intersect. And if you remember, these arrows here are a good indicator or notation that the lines are parallel. Okay, let's go now with perpendicular lines. It doesn't mean they intersect. They're going to be automatically perpendicular line. Intersect that should form a 90-degree angle. And how do you do that one? In this coordinate geometry or in a coordinate plane. You have to identify their slope. Their slope has to be negative reciprocal. Okay? Their slope has to be negative reciprocal. What I made that one? For example, if I have, let's go here, okay? Negative reciprocal, let's say the slope is A over B. A negative reciprocal of A over B is the B over A. But if this is positive, this has to be negative. In other words, you swap the numerator and the denominator's position. The numerator becomes denominator, the denominator becomes a numerator, and then flip their sign. For example, if I have 2 over 5, the negative reciprocal of 2 over 5 is 5 over 2, but since this is positive, it will become negative. And let's say 1/3. If the slope is 1/3, the 1 will go down, the 1 is a numerator, the 3 will go up. So this will be 3 over 1, which just automatically 3. But since that's positive there, and this will be negative, negative. Okay, a few more. If I tell you, let's say 6 over 5 negative. Since that's negative, you know the negative reciprocal will be a positive here, right? The 5 will go up, the 6 will go down, the 5 will go up, the 6 goes down. There you go. That's the negative reciprocal of -6 over 5. What about -2? What's the negative reciprocal of -2? We know that there's an invisible 1 under the 2 there, -2. So that becomes 1 over 2. And since this is negative, this will be positive. So the answer is 1 half. It is important that we know what's negative reciprocal is, because this is the definition for us to identify if two lines given in their equation are perpendicular. For example, if I give you 3x minus 2, what could be an equation that will represent a perpendicular line to the y equals 3x minus 2? First, we identify what is the slope here. The slope here is 3. What is the negative reciprocal of 3? If you say 1/3, you're wrong. But if you say negative 1/3, you're right. Remember, the sign has to be opposite. So the negative reciprocal of 3 is negative 1/3, then x, any number there, let's say plus 5. Doesn't matter, because if this line here is perpendicular to this line, then even I put it here, it's still going to be perpendicular no matter what. So the y-intercept has no bearing at all there. We just have to know that the slope are negative reciprocal of each other. All right, let's go here. Parallel, let's identify or determine whether the equation are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. When say neither, that means they just intersected, but they did not form a 90-degree angle. And how do we do that one? Let's identify their slope. What is the slope on the first equation? Y equals 5x plus 2 and y equals 5x minus 1. Their slope are 5 here, and here is also 5. So therefore, they are the same. So is it parallel, perpendicular, or neither? The correct answer is parallel. Next, y equals negative 7, x equals 2. Oh, this is a good problem, okay? The slope here of horizontal, vertical, one is undefined, one is 0, right? You have to understand that this draw a vertical line, horizontal line. The x equals 2 draw a vertical line. They intersected, and they are perpendicular here. Why is it so? Why they're perpendicular? Okay, let me explain to you guys. If you have 0 over any number, let's say 0 over 5, what's the answer? The answer there will be 0. But if you reverse it, 5 divided by 0, try to punch in your calculator. It will tell you an error because it's undefined. And what happened? What did we do with 0 and 5 here? We flipped them around. 0 is not a positive or negative, so it doesn't really make sense to put the plus or minus in a 0. So in other words, 0 and undefined are negative reciprocal of each other. So therefore, this item here is perpendicular. Next, what's the slope here? Negative 3 halves. And the slope here is 2/3. What do you know about negative 3 halves and 2/3? The negative 3 goes down, the 2 goes up, the signs are swapped. One is positive, one is negative. So this one here is perp. Perp means perpendicular. Okay. And last one here, x equals 9, y equals negative 9. We know that x equals 9 is a vertical line on the 9, and the negative 9 is another vertical line on the negative 9. And we know they both have undefined slope. So therefore, this is a parallel line. Okay. All right, let's go to the final point here. The point slope form. Point slope form is given to you: y minus y sub 1 is equal to m x minus x sub 1. Why is this a great formula? Because this is another way, for me, this is the simplest way on finding an equation or writing an equation if you're given a point and a slope, or even 2 points. Okay, every time you're given a point and a slope, I bet this is easier way. But everybody have different ways of learning and understanding things. But to give you only one way that works all the time, this is it. Point slope form. Okay. So let's try this example. Write an equation in slope intercept form for a line parallel to y equals negative 1/4 x plus 3 containing negative 4, 6. Okay, let's analyze the problem. So you're being asked to write an equation in a slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And number 2, it has to be parallel to the equation y equals negative 1/4 x plus 3. So that means if they're parallel, they need to have the same slope. and it should contain a point negative 4, 6. That's three concepts in one problem. So how do we do it? First, number one, we know we're going to solve for y equals mx plus b. That's the question. Number two, we know that the m is going to be negative 1/4 because they gotta be parallel. Parallel means they have to have the same slope. So number two idea there, my slope that I'm gonna use is negative 1/4. And number three, I know that the answer needs to contain negative 4 comma 6. Those are the things that I need to do. And for me to do this one, to answer it, I just need point slope form. What is point slope again? Y minus y sub 1 equals mx minus x sub 1. Wherein my m is 1 negative 1/4. My x sub 1 and y sub 1 are negative 4 and 6. Those are the coordinates. This is my x sub 1. This is my y sub 1. So plug them in the equation. If you notice, the y will remain y. The y sub 1 will be 6. The m is going to be negative 1/4 x minus negative 4. Since you have two negatives here, this will be positive. Okay. And I will distribute the negative 1/4 there. That will give me y minus 6, negative 1/4 x. Negative 1/4, if I have a quarter times 4, if I have 4 quarters, the answer will be negative 1, or this just cancel out. And then I'm going to add 6 because I need to find the slope intercept form of that. That gives you y equals negative 1/4 x plus 5. And that's the equation. Very easy, right? Next, write an equation in slope intercept form for a line perpendicular to the line y equals 1/5 x plus 2 through 2, 0. Again, same thing. We know that we're trying to find y equals mx plus b. We know it's going to be perpendicular, so we have to find the negative reciprocal of the slope of the equation here. The slope here is 1/5. So what's the negative reciprocal of 1/5? Yes, if you say it's negative 5, you are correct. And the point has to be coming through 2, 0. And again, this is my x sub 1, y sub 1. Writing the point slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals mx minus x sub 1. And we know that the m is negative 5. We know that the x sub 1 is 2. That goes there. And y sub 0 goes here. Okay, I did the color coding, so it will be easier for you. The y will remain y. Y minus y sub 1 is 0 equals negative 5 x minus 2. We know y minus nothing, or y minus 0 is just y. Distribute the negative 5 there. That will give you negative 5x plus 10. And that's the equation that is perpendicular to the y equals 1/5 x plus 2 that pass through the point 2, 0. And there you go. And that's how you end the ball game. Kaboom.